Malcolm Atkins, Rand Smith, and Ian Brandon at St. Peter's Churchyard via SWNS Cousins from opposite sides of the ocean met by complete chance after turning up at their ancestor's grave at the exact same time and discovering they were all related. Ian Brandon and Malcolm Atkins from the UK were visiting the grave of their great-great-great-grandfather Anthony Smith, only to find another couple from the US doing the same things. Rand Smith and his wife, Janeel, made the 3,200-mile journey from Kansas City, the town of Raunds in Northamptonshire, England, to see where his forefathers originated from. The couple was left utterly astounded when strangers Ian and Malcolm showed up from London and Essex at the same time last month, searching for the same gravestone, having planned their trip years ago. "You couldn't make it up. These other guys planned their trip a while ago, too," said Malcolm, a grandfather or two from Harold Hill, East London. "We met at the precise moment, and now people are saying it's divine intervention. I don't have a religious bone, but if we arrived half an hour later, we wouldn't have known they were there." Malcolm and Ian had spent 7 years planning the trip to St. Peter's Church after researching his family tree. Still in shock. "We'd been planning it years and years ago, and we finally got together. SWNS, we'd actually gone up and got the car stuck while trying to find the car park. These two Americans went past the car and smiled as I was stuck. Then these two people were literally standing by the headstone of my third great-granddad. 12 billion to 1 odds. Rand was looking at the headstone, and his wife, Janeel, asked the strangers, 'Do you know that person?' Ian answered, 'That's my third great-grandfather,' and that's when Rand said, 'That's my third great-grandfather.' The three men, who are fourth cousins, learned that their encounter on the same day, September 22, defied the odds of 12 billion to 1. It was amazing. It was like we all knew each other. Then we went to a nearby pub where we found we had so much in common," Malcolm told SWNS news agency. "Freaky fates, childhood best friends who lost touch, reunited 60 years later, both living in a senior care home, Duke of Wellington pub." Clockwise, Rand Smith, Janeel Smith, Malcolm Atkins, Linda Atkins, and Ian Brandon via SWNS. "We'd love to see him again. I do love to go to Kansas." Ian said the pair and their son chose to visit the grave around 100 miles from both their homes last Monday purely by chance. "We basically turned up together. It was most strange," Ian from Danbury, Essex, told SWNS. "They were there 2 minutes before we were. It was strange, as we were all looking at the same stones. We had so much in common. We exchanged emails, so we'll keep in contact." The cousins were visiting a historic market town after discovering Anthony Smith used to own a shoe factory in the area. St. Peter's Church in Raunds, England by Brixton CC, by Sal 4.0, a fateful tattoo, mystical urge to get weird to pays off as she is presented with the exact item years later by strangers. A family tree fanatic, Malcolm discovered Anthony had initially married an American and had 8 children before remarrying after her death at a quite young age, an English lady who he had 7 children with. "My wife Linda always wondered how I could do such a boring hobby. It is just names on a piece of paper, but on one account I've got 2,000 names. It helped us dig into this, which is incredible. You couldn't have written it." I'm still shocked by it. "It's a day we'll never forget." Rand explained why they travelled to England 40 years ago. "My grandfather travelled from the US and visited the graves of our forefathers at St. Peter's Church in Raunds. Since that time, I have had the same desire. When my wife, Janeel, and I visited the graveyard and located the headstones, we were stunned to have several others come up and examine the same stones." Headstone of Anne Eaton, the second wife of Anthony Smith via SWNS text from Afterlife. After 4 years of sending messages to her late father's phone number, she suddenly gets a reassuring text back. "No one else was in the cemetery. To learn that they were our fourth cousins was absolutely thrilling. We went to lunch together and it was like we had known them for years. We feel that divine intervention put us together. What a highlight of our lives."